Mr. Driller, Drill Land. Available on all modern platforms. Retailing for $29.99. Originally released for the Japanese GameCube in 2002, it received a remastering in June of 2020 for the Nintendo Switch and Windows. Later coming to Xbox and PlayStation platforms, November of 2021. Mr. Driller is a puzzle game and a spin-off of Dig Dug. You try to go deeper and deeper while destroying blocks, and trying to avoid being crushed or running out of air. Mr. Driller Drill Land uses this as a base for 5 different variations. There are different levels of difficulty for each of the 5 variations. However, you cannot get to the harder versions of any of the 5 games unless you have beaten the same level of difficulty on all of them. So you must first beat the initial difficulty level on all 5. Then you have a brief boss fight, and you now have the next harder level unlocked for all 5 games. And when you beat that on all 5 games, you will then have another little boss fight. And so forth and so on, until there is no higher level to reach. And you can tell what the inherent problem with this is. It is highly unlikely that you'll enjoy all 5 variations to the same extent. But if you do want to play more of the ones you actually enjoy, you're going to be forced to play the ones you don't. So what are the 5 flavors on offer? Well, first we have the basic version, Drill Land World Tour. If you've ever played a Mr. Driller game, you've played this. And while there's nothing really new on offer in this mode, it is my personal favorite mode. Next we have the Hole of Draga, based very loosely off the Tower of Draga. Instead of air, you have hit points in this version, and you need to find particular items before you get to the bottom to fight a boss. Finding exactly what you need can be frustrating. The faux RPG elements here sounded interesting on paper, but they don't work out that well in actual practice. However, this is far and away the most different of the modes. Horror Night House sees you fighting ghosts. You need to collect holy water, inject the holy water into blocks containing ghosts, and then quickly destroy the blocks containing ghosts before the holy water effect wears off. You don't have air in this version, but if the ghosts attack you, you can lose hit points. And of course, no hit points means game over. Drindy Adventure is another mode without air. You instead can be hurt a set number of times, and your goal is to find a certain number of golden statues before you reach the bottom. While trying to reach the bottom, there are a number of different traps that you have to avoid. Sort of has an Indiana Jones thing going on. This mode definitely starts out the easiest, but as you get to the higher difficulties, the traps become more ridiculous. With some of them, I think it's purely a matter of luck if you'll actually be able to avoid them or not. And of course, there's almost always traps around the golden statues you need to collect. Star Driller is the final mode. This is highly similar to the basic mode I talked about first. But you can make star blocks appear that quickly disappear, and they can potentially cause the layout to shift. You also have asteroids that will roll and possibly crush you. And while it is not a mode you can select, after you've beaten a set level of difficulty for all 5 of these, you will have a boss fight. Though these are fairly underwhelming. And between all of what I've described are little skits involving the characters. These are kinda cute the first time you see them, but they wear out their welcome quick. In addition to all of this, there's also the ability to farm for collectibles. As all of these are gotten through random chance, I don't see much of a point. So is Mr. Driller Drill Land worth your time and money? Unless you are a hardcore fan of the Mr. Driller series, it is certainly not worth its $30 price tag. The basic gameplay of Mr. Driller is very solid and enjoyable. The problem is, you can't just enjoy the basic Mr. Driller gameplay here. You have to endure other modes which you may or may not enjoy to the same extent. I personally very much enjoyed Hoare Night House and Star Driller a great deal, but Drinny Adventure and Whole of Duraga were almost painful to force myself to play, and I like the concept of having different variations of Mr. Driller to play. I just hate that this game forces you to play all of the variations, even the ones that absolutely do not grab you. I personally think there would be more value in one of the other, more basic versions of Mr. Driller than this particular collection of sub-games that we received. So no, I do not recommend Mr. Driller Drill Land, and certainly not at the $30 they want for it. It's a real shame that this is the only bit of Mr. Driller that's available on modern hardware, as this series has been on the PlayStation, the Game Boy Advance, and even WiiWare in the past. Maybe if we're lucky, one of those versions will get ported. As is, definitely avoid Mr. Driller Drill Land. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.